Most of my favorite moments from Touch come from the show's delightful second act, and though the light tone and fun subplots feel needed after Kazuya's death, these episodes pass by without much conflict. And it's not for lack of trying. Many of the characters introduced in this act behave as classic antagonists. We get Yoshida, the copycat turned rival challenging Tatsuya for his ace position. We learn about Nishimura, the curveball master and creepy stalker, as well as Nita, the sexy motorcycle man and hitting monster, both looking to defeat Tatsuya and charm Minami. Most notably, we get introduced to Nita's sister Yuka, the cunning first-year dead set on stealing Tatsuya's heart. The trouble is, none of these characters could possibly be antagonists to Minami and Tatsuya. We learn during his showdown with Nishimura that Tatsuya doesn't consider anyone but Kazuya his rival on the field. And while the Nita siblings annoy both Minami and Tatsuya with their persistence, neither could succeed when we already know that Minami and Tatsuya are going to end up with each other. If anyone is going to get between Minami, Tatsuya, and the Koshian romance, it would have to be someone so evil that they not only change the plot's trajectory, but the tone of the show altogether. And that's exactly what Kashiwaba Eijiro does. As Meisei's interim coach, Kashiwaba introduces himself by throwing Tatsuya around the locker room. He isn't here to make friends, and he isn't here to win either. He only wants to satisfy a personal grudge against Meisei's baseball club for excluding him when he entered high school. And he can get away with this, because if anyone were to report his abusive behavior, it would jeopardize the school's participation in the preliminary tournament, effectively killing Minami's dream of going to Koshian. Alright, I know that doesn't make a lot of sense without some context, so let me explain. The Japanese High School Baseball Federation, the organization that runs the national tournament, has a zero-tolerance policy towards misbehavior. This ranges from dangerous crimes like hazing or gambling to more benign transgressions like underage drinking or smoking. The Federation has disqualified entire teams in the past for a single player or coach's transgression. In theory, this policy preserves the innocence of the tournament, but in practice, it discourages people from reporting any sort of injustice, perpetuating the system that many people know is exploitive, but few people will actually speak out on. And with this unrestricted power, Kashiwaba has every opportunity to inflict pain. Everything we learn about Kashiwaba screams bad guy, from his Yakuza-inspired clothing to his penchant for corporal punishment. The only thing mildly good about him from the onset is the adorable puppy that follows him around everywhere, which reminds us that Kashiwaba's story comes with a little bit of nuance. Every bad guy needs a backstory. Like Tatsuya, Kashiwaba was a talented young athlete who needed to sacrifice his reputation for his brother's well-being. Unlike Kazuya, however, Kashiwaba's brother thrived in the spotlight, and Kashiwaba himself was excluded from the school's baseball club. And as the coach for the club that ostracized him 10 years before, he now has the opportunity to take revenge. Except Kashiwaba's plans alter when he recognizes Tatsuya's potential. Kashiwaba sees Tatsuya as a younger version of himself, not only as a baseball talent, but also as someone who lived in the shadow of a more beloved brother. That Kazuya dies and leaves Tatsuya in the spotlight is a blessing that Kashiwaba wished he could have experienced with his own brother, and he aims to make Tatsuya feel the same pain of exclusion that he feels. But Tatsuya has no intention of letting down his teammates. When the team perseveres through Kashiwaba's torturous training camp, they do so following Tatsuya's example and not Kashiwaba's motivation. Because Tatsuya has no leverage in his fight against his coach, he strikes back by accepting his coach's punishment like a sacrificial lamb, something he's used to after spending a lifetime ridiculed in his younger brother's shadow. Kashiwaba doesn't have the best interest of his players at heart, but by pretending he does, Tatsuya can fight back. For Tatsuya, compliance is rebellion. It's rare for a show about youth sports to have the antagonist be on the same team as the protagonist, much less having the bad guy be the protagonist's coach. American movies and shows about youth sports usually reinforce the absolute power given to the man in charge, and this theme stretches to anime as well. Much like Touch, shows like Ace of Diamond and Ofuri feature the drill sergeant baseball coach, except both of these shows portray their behavior as normal. Touch is one of the few baseball anime, however, that directly criticizes not only the behavior of the abusive coach, but also the system that enables the abuse. Coach Nishio does not appoint Kashiwaba because he believes his rough demeanor will whip his players into shape, but because he confuses Kashiwaba Eijiro with his more benevolent older brother Eiichiro. The principal at Meisei that refuses to address Kashiwaba is not an emotionless patriarch looking to preserve tradition, but a spineless pencil pusher too scared to do the right thing. Most importantly, however, like any story looking to invalidate abuse, Kashiwaba does not escape his transgressions without punishment. A lot of Kashiwaba's close-ups focus on his lifeless eyes behind his aviator sunglasses. Along with his dog, his eyes are the only sense of humanity we get from him. His pupils dilate whenever he flashes back to his high school demons, they water when he thinks of his lost love, and they blur when he starts to see close objects in double vision. They are the key to his personality, which is why his power disintegrates when his eyesight starts to fail. In a sort of Oedipal punishment for his tyranny, Kashiwaba slowly becomes blind as the season progresses, losing his eyesight completely in the final innings of the regional championship game. In order to understand what's going on, he leans on Tatsuya's vision to inspire Meisei towards a comeback victory. Tatsuya literally becomes Kashiwaba's eyes in the final innings, showing that both their souls are linked by fate despite diverging on the same tragic path. And though Kashiwaba finds a small amount of redemption in leading Meisei to their first ever Koshien appearance, his immediate resignation after the tournament highlights his ultimate loss, both as a coach and as a person. Kashiwaba's story ends with a glimmer of hope, but he's still the bad guy after all. As much as Touch's creator Adachi Mitsuru recycles plot devices and character archetypes, Kashiwaba Eijiro stands as a singular character in his universe. Elements of Kashiwaba appear in some characters in stories like Cross Game or Katsu, but the fully fleshed out antagonist coach remains a trait unique to Adachi's most beloved work. I don't know for sure why Kashiwaba's character type appears only in Touch, but if I were to take a guess, I would say that it's because fans simply don't like him. Kashiwaba inspires such hatred across message boards and comment sections that I presume he elicited a similar reaction from fans in the 1980s. The abusive coach is probably a painful character to draw, especially when Adachi finds such love in sports, and it may have felt better for him and the fans to keep that character type away from the light forever. What makes Kashiwaba so hateable, however, is not his evil doings, but his capacity for good. His backstory, redemption, and his puppy all show the good person behind the evil veneer. The speck of light in the darkness creates not only a more complex antagonist, but a more realistic one as well. It's easy to hate the bad guy, but the bad guys we hate the most are the ones with a little bit of good in them.